Hello everyone, welcome to the Scumdog's Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and in today's Cryptid Corner mini episode, I have two stories. One, we'll be talking about the phantom attacker known as the Black Flash of Provincetown, and another account in which the witness sees something very akin to the Slender Man. Let's get into the first article, folks. Tall, faceless man in a suit. What the hell did I just see? Let's get into this account and hear exactly what the witness saw. A chilling night turned into something far more disturbing when a witness first saw a faceless man in a suit within a vivid vision, only to awaken and find him standing inches from their bed. Was this an intense hallucination, a shadow figure, or undeniable proof of something sinister crossing into our reality? Does Slender Man really exist? So basically I was lying in bed and I distinctly remember being awake because I could hear noises in the house. I think I was in a state of being half awake and half asleep, kind of like when you experience sleep paralysis. The odd thing was I wasn't actually experiencing sleep paralysis because I could move around in bed. However, I was still very out of it due to exhaustion. Very interesting start to the story, isn't it, folks? Let's get back to it and hear the full account and wonder if this really is an encounter with Slender Man or not. So, I was lying there with my eyes closed, and then all of a sudden I got this extremely vivid and clear image in my head of myself standing in front of a window in the house I was in. I was facing the window located on the second floor of the room I was in and looking out into the backyard. The backyard wasn't anything special. It had some trees surrounding the property so that you couldn't see into the neighbor's yard. The trees were pretty tall, and the yard itself was mostly empty with a little deck below that you couldn't really see because it was straight down. As I stood there, I was both experiencing the scene and watching myself experience it. I looked out the window, and at the very end of the property, I saw a tall man wearing what appeared to be a black suit. He had no facial features, just an ashen face, but I could tell he was looking at me. I stood there frozen, absolutely terrified, wondering who this man was, what he wanted, and why his face looked so strange. A million thoughts raced through my mind, but it felt almost like I was standing in the room watching myself react while still being able to see him. It was very bizarre, and the whole experience felt drawn out due to my fear. Suddenly, it ended and I was jerked back into my body. This is the freakiest part, which is why I'm characterizing this as a paranormal experience. I opened my eyes and I started to sit up in bed. As soon as I was upright, I realized this isn't a dream. This isn't a vision anymore. In real life, I was sitting on my bed and all the lights in the room were off. A little bit of moonlight came through the window, which was on the right side of my bed. I looked to my right. Staying right beside my bed was a very tall man. He looked like he was wearing a suit with long arms and long legs, but there was no hood or any features on his face, no eyes, nothing at all. He was incredibly close to me, about 7 or 8 inches away. I jerked back in shock because I was so freaked out I wanted to jump out of bed and run to the light switch. My bed was pretty small without a frame, so I could easily dive off of it. When I looked away from him and ran towards the light switch, I glanced back over my shoulder and suddenly he was gone. I thought, okay, Bree, are you seeing things? What is going on? I turned on the light to take a moment to calm down, wholly consumed by confusion and fear, thinking, what the hell did I just see B? Well, what indeed did B see, folks? Bree here, it sounds like she saw the Slender Man. Now, in most accounts, folks, this is very odd because as far as I know, folks, Slender Man is, well, he's made up. He basically only became really famous back in 2011 when his creator basically released, well, his creepypasta online. But since then, folks, people have been seeing this entity. Now, it's been thought that maybe he's a type of tulpa or maybe even an Aragor. A tulpa is a thought form created by a person, folks. And an Aragor is pretty much the same thing, except it's a bunch of people basically, well, believing in something. So much like a tulpa, folks, it uses this energy to manifest itself. Is that exactly what Bree here saw? Some sort of manifestation that was maybe drawn to her because of her fear, perhaps? And it manifested in front of her? It's perhaps an interesting idea. Until we get more information on that, folks, we can only basically, well, surmise if indeed that's the actual truth or not, folks. We've done so before when we've come across these Slender Man stories, and in the future, we'll continue to do so. But let's move on to the next story. Black Flash of Provincetown, Cape Cod's mysterious phantom of the late 1930s. And this entity, folks, is yet another in the long line of venom attackers. So let's get into the story. Here, yet another one of these venom enemies that's in the same line as basically the Mad Gasser of Maltoon and Spring Hill Jack. In the fall of 1938, Cape Cod residents began whispering about a dark figure that prowled Provincetown's quiet streets, a towering phantom in a black cape with glowing eyes and unnerving laugh. Police patrols terrified witnesses, and local headlines turned the Black Flash into a coastal legend. Still, the real question remains, was this just a prank gone too far, or something truly supernatural? The first sightings. In late 1938, Provincetown, Massachusetts was a small, close-knit seaside community where strange news traveled fast. One evening, startled residents reported a tall, shadowy figure clad in black who seemed to move with impossible agility. Unlike ordinary prowlers, this entity was described as leaping fences over 10 feet high and emitting a piercing, otherworldly laugh that sent witnesses fleeing in terror. Growing panic. As autumn turned to winter, reports multiplied. The figure became known as the Black Flash, and comparisons quickly arose with London's notorious Spring Hill Jack, a similar phantom terror that had haunted England nearly a century before. Parents warned children to hurry home before dark, and the police began to take the matter seriously after multiple calls described the same glowing-eyed intruder. Witnesses consistently described a figure that appeared taller than any normal man, sometimes wrapped in a dark cape or long coat with a face obscured by a shadow. One local woman recalled it had glowing eyes and a horrible laugh that chilled us all. Police involvement. Law enforcement patrols stepped up throughout Provincetown. Some officers dismissed the events as a prankster, while others privately admitted the descriptions defied explanation. Eyewitnesses swore that bullets or attempts to restrain the Black Flash had no effect, though these claims remain difficult to verify. What is certain is that the local paper captured the public mood, splashing headlines of the sightings that stirred both fear and fascination. One man swore a figure leaped over a 10-foot fence like it was nothing. From the descriptions already, folks, it does indeed sound like this entity, the Black Flash of Provincetown, is, well, it might be Spring Hill Jack, maybe taking some sort of a vacation in America while he's away from England, perhaps? I don't know. It's something to wonder about because this entity sounds exactly like Spring Hill Jack, though so far there's no mention of this entity breathing green fire, at least, folks. So maybe that's one difference. But let's get back to the story and read the rest of it, and then we can basically talk about it in a little more detail, I guess. The sudden silence through 1939, the Black Flash continued to terrify townspeople, appearing at random and then vanishing into the night. Just as suddenly as it had arrived, the figure disappeared after the winter of 1939. There were no further confirmed sightings, no arrests, and no concrete explanations. Some locals insisted it had been a gang of pranksters in disguise. Others believed they had glimpsed something supernatural, part of the long line of phantom visitors that occasionally erupt into folklore before fading away. And let's read about the legacy of this entity, folks. The Black Flash remains one of New England's strangest mysteries. Unlike typical ghost stories, the case included repeated reports over a year, police involvement, and dozens of named witnesses. Today, the legend persists in Cape Cod lore, often retold alongside tales of haunted lighthouses and maritime mysteries. Lawn. Indeed, I would imagine that this entity is basically spoken of in awe, folks, and around campfires when people would basically, well, just think that such an entity would probably be, well, not forgotten, but most definitely remembered in such awe-inspiring tones, folks. So, along with basically the Slender Man and basically the Black Flash of Provincetown, folks, I do think there's a kind of connection between both entities, folks. I think both entities use fear and emotions to manifest into reality, and when they do, they take on a life of their own and people can actually physically touch them. And this is what these entities actually are. That's my idea. But now, folks, we're at the end, so please go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you. You can use the YouTube link down below in the descriptions or the chat to go subscribe to me. Hit that like button for me. Make sure you're still subscribed. Leave some comments down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Hit the part of the bell that'll give you all future notifications, and please share this video out. I'm Chris Williams from the Scumdogs Kennel. Thank you all for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow with another great video, so be sure to come back again then. Till next time, folks, I'll see you all again soon.